all the sports news you need. Live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Locker Room European special show. We are here until 11 o'clock tonight to look back on the games from this week: Aberdeen, Celtic and Rangers. I am Graham Duffy. We are live on Independence Live, Indie Live Radio, and we're also streaming, and as always, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Twitch as well. Hoping to be joined very shortly by Michael, which is going to be very weird because normally when Michael's on, he's the host, but today it's me. Delighted as well to be joined by a very disappointed, I'm assuming, Aberdeen fan right now. We have John Bleasdale. John, how are you doing?
20 minutes ago I was happy, and right now I'm just near physically sick. It was that's a tough one to take.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you were feeling quite a different sense just now. Probably for a long part of that game, you were really pleased with what you saw, really proud in parts, and then just an absolute gutter punch at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, we're also going to mention those three letters VAR at some point, and there's no doubt that's played a factor in today's game, which is really annoying. We'll come on to it, but at the end of the day, you've got to take individual responsibilities, and individual errors have cost us big time in this game tonight. And I have to question the substitutions of Barry Robson at 2-0 at 71 minutes. I get he wants to bring fresh legs on, but why is he taking off Polvara and Barron, probably their two best players? If you're going to take them off, bring on someone a wee bit more defensive minded. And he brings on Clarkson and Hayes. Hayes is not a central midfielder. And yeah, it left Shinnie exposed, because all season we've been saying Shinnie needs a Barron or a Polvara alongside him. And yeah, as I say, their substitution scores was first touch after a couple of really defensive lapses. I mean, first of all, Rubezic doesn't get tight enough in his man, or gets too tight to his man and the ball gets beyond him, and then Daniel Jensen slips, which was avoidable, and they walk the ball in the net. And then Johnny Hayes, I don't know what the hell he's trying to do. I don't know if he's still got the drink driving charge over his head, and and then the ball goes over his head, even though he ducks down to like 2 centimetres, and they score from it. These sorts of things are avoidable. We also should have had a penalty, but you've got to take individual responsibility. You're 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go. You should be seeing the game out. I've always said that 2-0 can be sometimes more dangerous than 1-0 because you're in that cruise control and it just takes one goal and then all of a sudden you're in the back foot. Whereas if you've got a 1-goal advantage, you have to defend. And it was just typical Aberdeen.
Yeah, for anyone who's not seen it or not heard the result, it did finish Aberdeen 2, PAOK 3. Aberdeen were 2 goals up, a goal from Majowski, his 9th of the season after 49 minutes. Polvara made it 2 after 58 minutes, but Pauk got back into the game through Despodov for 74 minutes. They then got a goal through Varinha on 83 minutes, of deflection from Johnny Hayes, and they managed to win the game in the very last minute through a penalty from Schwarz in the last minute. But that doesn't really tell the story of the game. Michael, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Gutted for Aberdeen and John, they put a lot into that game as well. And yeah, John's right. We're going to be speaking about VR until Kingdom Come, as I say, because it's just spoiling the game of football. And I was thinking about when John was talking about the game, that performance reminded me of the Aberdeen performance that they put on against Rangers a couple of seasons ago in the game. So they've been well over by that point. Made a couple of subs. Rangers came back into the game, and that was a bit like that performance tonight, But yeah, just gutted for Aberdeen and well, John here and Dave and also all the Aberdeen fans, because they put a lot of effort into that game.
We'll get to moments in the game in a minute, but just at the start of the game, John, I was looking at the team sheet when it came through. I was quite surprised that Duke didn't start. Were you surprised, or was that what you were expecting?
I was a wee bit surprised, given it was a home game, that we went for the formation that we did. But then I understand Robson's thinking, because it almost worked against Frankfurt, who are a top side, well, at this level anyway. The Rangers game, obviously, we played that formation and won the game 3-1. So I understand why he went to that, even though it was a home game, to be fair. However, and to be fair, Duke hasn't really hit the heights of last season at all. He's only scored 1 goal this season. He's not looked the same player. I don't know if the change in style of football has affected him, because since Robson's had the job full time, we've played a different way, and it's not necessarily getting the best results. I mean, the jury's very much out in Robson right now amongst the Aberdeen fans. I don't think there's a big clamour for him to go. I think that's too early, but there are worrying signs about him. But yeah, I mean, the team, I mean, there was slight surprises in it, but for 70 minutes it worked. You know, it was just when we made the changes to that, that's when it started to fall apart. I mean, first half we rose up like a wee bit. I mean, I didn't see all the first half because I was late getting in and stuff like that, but you know, towards the end of the first half I did see that Pelt was starting to build, but at times we were comfortable in the game, we're pressing them well. So as I say, for 70 minutes it worked very well. It was just when we made the changes to it, that's when it fell apart.
Michael, I mentioned to John before we came on, I was messaging before or during the game, and I kind of at half time, I thought Aberdeen were doing quite well. I thought they were containing Pike quite well, because I've seen Pike play at Tynecastle. I know how good a team they are, I know what threats they can cause, but I thought they were doing really well. But I then decided to kind of switch on the radio at half time to listen to what pundits were saying, and I couldn't believe how negative they were being about Aberdeen. I was genuinely surprised, because I thought Aberdeen were doing quite well in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Aberdeen started well the first 15 minutes, and then Put came back into the game, but also Aberdeen kind of like defended well as well. And I mean, you know yourself, like you're never going to get all your way, especially in European football. You know, sometimes you've got to roll your luck, as they say, and Aberdeen will roll their luck, but also they kind of like defended well in parts as well. And I thought, I don't know about John, but I mean, I thought Conor Barron was a standout for Aberdeen tonight. Obviously, I don't see Aberdeen week in, week out like you, John, but I thought he played well. But I mean, yeah, I mean, and then I'm just gutted, because I mean, when the ref pointed to the penalty spot, I'm surprised you never heard me from here, Graham. You know, because I don't know where he got a penalty from out of that. You know,
John, I mean, I like watching any Scottish team in Europe. I want to see how they're going to do. And I was interested tonight because I know that Hearts have played Pike twice. We played them at Tynecastle, got beat 2-1. So I was intrigued how Aberdeen would line up tonight and how they would do. And I generally thought they were excellent. And, you know, first half I thought they contained them quite well. But second half, Aberdeen get the perfect start. And it is that man, Bojan Majowski. It's a really good finish, really good flip by Conor Barron. But one of the guys who made it, and Michael's right, Conor Barron was great. But I thought, personally for me, I thought Jack McKenzie was outstanding.
Yeah, he's been excellent the last few weeks. And he's a guy that's been criticised quite a lot from sections of our support. But the last few weeks he stepped up, and tonight I thought he was excellent. And that cross is tremendous. It's just so patient, the wee build up, and then he whips in a great ball. And as you say, Barron, another youth product, and goes in and flicks it on. And yeah, Majowski's composed is the one that you want in that situation. He's a penalty box striker, and they finished it yes, easily. But you know, at times it's the hardest is to score goals, and he does it well in that box.
Michael, at that point, Pittodrie's rocking, as you can see, and you're thinking, right, what's Aberdeen doing now? Can they go and get a second goal, or will Pout get back in it? Well, Aberdeen do get a second goal, and again, it's Conor Barron that's involved. Really good bit of play. Lovely pass to Majowski. Majowski plays it through to the man that's got that fantastic song of We Buy Any Car, Paul Vara, and it's a great finish.
Yeah, no, it may get look cool, it may get look easy as well, but still had a lot of work to do, obviously, and he put it away, and you thought, well, okay, Aberdeen's got 20 minutes left in the game, and just see it out. but obviously it came back to kind of haunting them before Halloween. But yeah, football's a cruel game, and I was really good for coming on the show and say, well, it's been a decent week for the Scottish clubs in Europe. I mean, look at Celtic getting a point last night, Rangers getting a decent point tonight, and I suppose you could say, okay, Aberdeen get beat tonight, but they put a lot of effort into that game, you know.
Yeah, John, Dante Polvara scored against Frankfurt in the first game, and he does look a really good player. I mean, how good is he? Because obviously I don't watch Aberdeen as much as you do. How good a player is Polvara?
I think now that he's started to settle in to Aberdeen, he's showing what he's worth. Because when he first came in, he looked a bit lost. He was bottling out of challenges and things like that. Looked as though he would go missing at times, and then he had an injury. He went actually met him when I was at hospital for the Dundee United game last year, and he seemed a nice lad, from New York and stuff like that. And he went over to a club in America in March for a few months for the MLS season, and I think that's done wonders for him because he's come back fit. He's come back, match fit as well, which was handy again to the team. And he's not a regular starter, but yeah, I think he's been very good. He's he's not a holding midfield player, but he's not a creative player either. He's probably more of a almost box to box type player, similar to Shinnie in some way, but without the same energy. But he's a very good player, and he finishes chance very well. I mean, that was great composure. I mean, that was a striker's type finish, the wee dink over the goalkeeper, and he and Barron were excellent tonight. Barron, McKenzie were probably the best players for me for Aberdeen, but. It was a good finish. And at that point, you're thinking, well, you're going to go into 4 points, just 2 points behind Frankfurt and PAOK, and then you're cursing not beating Helsinki at home. But then we're going to talk about the collapse.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't quite end up the way we were hoping it would. At one point in that game, I was thinking, this is a great result for Aberdeen. Great performance. All my Hearts group chats were going mental about how good Aberdeen had been, as opposed to what Hearts had done. And then obviously PAOK get the goal back on 74 minutes. It's a slip. It's unfortunate. It is a slip. And the guy finishes it well. But the big talking point, John, you mentioned it before we came on air. I mean, Jack McKenzie, brilliant again on the left-hand side. He's in the box. It's a clear trip. Now, the referee doesn't see it. Fair enough. That's understandable, but that's what VAR's there for. How the guy in VAR is not telling the referee to go and look at that because he made a mistake is just baffling. And for me and Michael talk about this all the time. Standard refereeing everywhere is absolutely awful, but that is a ridiculous decision, and there's no doubt it changes the game.
Yeah, I think whoever the VAR official is in that instance should get a ban for, I don't know, a few games, whatever, so they can go and learn. Because you don't want to see people banned for life for that sort of thing. It's but that person in the VAR room has got no excuse. He or she's got so many different camera angles that can offer that, and how they can look at all those angles. That we've seen the exact same pictures as these people in that room, and they are still saying no, nothing to see here. Move on. It is absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, you never know what could have happened. We could have still missed the penalty. Still would have been 2-1. But we were affected by that, and. No, we should have had the opportunity to go 3-1 up and re-establish our 2-goal lead. And I don't think PAOK would have came back, because it's interesting. I said in a group chat that they were looking rattled, and then after it went to 2-2, I then changed that to now we're looking rattled, because that's obviously what happens. But as I mentioned before, I mean, the goal before, I know you say it's unfortunate Jensen slipped, but I think it's an unavoidable one. His body position isn't great in the first instance, which puts him in that position. It's just a laughable goal to concede, and from that moment on, Pittodrie goes quiet, they get their tails up, and it's a different game. And as you know yourself, Graham, they are a good team that can punish you. And that's what most of our teams lack at this level. Even teams of PAOK who are not going to be winning this competition, they still have these kind of players who will hurt you, and we're lacking something.
But John, see, going back to the VAR incident for a minute, right? See when you're saying if it's a man or woman or whatever I was watching that, They're actually getting paid good money for that.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'm saying they should be demoted for a few games. I mean, I think the official down in England who made the error in the Tottenham Liverpool game, they've got a ban. That sort of thing should happen. I mean, it's something that we don't do enough in Scotland. Like, if Willie Collum makes a mistake 4 games in a row, he still gets a big game like a Rangers game or a Celtic game or a Hearts game. He doesn't get demoted to League 1 and 2 to get an Athletic or Clyde or Bonnyrigg Rose. Whereas in England, you would see officials get put down to the Championship or League 1 or even no game at all, but that doesn't happen in Scotland. And that's what should happen to this VAR official who's made that, because that is a glaring error. You can understand the referee not being able to see it because there's other things happen. He's trying to see through a bunch of players. He's not got the best angle. The assistant referees on the far side were again trying to see through bodies. That's hard. This is what VAR's supposed to be brought in for, and the officials working VAR. People say VAR, the technology is not good. It's not the technology, it's the people that's working it. That's looking at these pictures, same as you and I, and how they can't see that as a penalty kick is ridiculous. And we've had so many conversations about VAR recently, and is it worth it? I think it should just be goal line technology, to be perfectly honest. Just to keep human error, to be perfectly honest with you.
Michael, we are 3 football fans, right? We're not getting paid for comments that we make or anything like that. We don't, we're not in that VAR room. But the guys in that VAR room are getting paid a lot of money to make big decisions. And in these kind of games, you can't afford to get that wrong. Now, I looked at that once. At first, you couldn't look at what was happening because it was at really fast pace. But then when you watch the replay, you can clearly see it's a foul. And I always think as well, you can tell by players' reactions. You look at the PAOK player, he knows he's got away with that. You look at Jack McKenzie, he's screaming for the penalty. So you know that something's wrong there. Now, like John said, you can understand why the referee's not seen that. But that's what you got the VAR there for. And the fact that they've not seen that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I just think back to the World Cup game, and before they actually showed you the kickoff. They showed you like a 5-a-side team in the VR room, and in Scotland, I think you've got 2 officials, and like 3 big, massive, kind of like plasma screens to watch. And I don't know how they work in Europe, but I mean, there's no mistake for, there's no room for error, especially at kind of like this level, European football is meant to be the highest competition out with like the World Cup and all that, and still we're here talking about this. I mean, look, let's be honest. I mean, I know I said this a few weeks in the show as well, Graham, but everybody used to go to the pub and say, "Oh yeah, that was a brilliant game of football." But now everybody's going to a pub to talk about VR and not talking about the game. And I do think that the fans are getting a raw deal of VR because you know yourself being in Tynecastle and obviously Aberdeen will get any kind of TV screens up. But when you're actually at the game, you don't know what's going on because all they're saying is VR checking. Checking what? A foul took place half an hour ago. Just tell us. So it's actually spoiling the fans' kind of like experience as well of going to football.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I know that John's got to go very, very soon, so just 2 quick points before you go, John. The 2 goals, unfortunately, that PAOK get near the end, the deflection of Johnny Hayes, you kind of spoke about it before, and the penalty as well, just really, really harsh, but it was a penalty. And then a point that Aslino, our regular contributor, said here, Robson showed his inexperience and naivety. I think you might agree with that, given the fact you talked about the substitutions that he made. I think you're on mute, John.
Yeah, 100%. He takes off our best players and doesn't show up. It's incredible that he started with what was seen as a cautious formation, but he brings on attacking players when we're 2-0 up. Because Graeme Shinnie is not a holding midfield player. He's not that enforcer in front of defence. He's a box-to-box player, and a good one at that usually. But he's took off Barron, who was our man of the match, in my opinion, and he's took off Paul Farah. Johnny Hayes is not a central midfielder. I think he actually brought him on to play in the wing, but I don't think Clarkson and McGrath can play in the same team unless one's playing out wide, but that didn't happen. Clarkson and McGrath cannot play in the same team. But Johnny Hayes, I love Johnny Hayes. He's been a great player for Aberdeen over a couple of spells, but he's getting beyond his years, and he's also had other issues off the pitch. I don't know if that's been playing in his mind or what, if he's coming into the game affected, but that was a basic error. I know, why is he putting his head down? It's the ball's knee height. Control your knee or boot it clear with your right foot or left foot, whatever. Just why he's trying that header, I do not know. And he's unfortunately trying to recover, and the deflection has hit off him and went into the net. But it's his mistake in the first instance that's cost that goal. That goal does not happen if he does his job properly. And the penalty incident at the end, I mean, that's what VAR's there for, to be fair. That is a penalty kick, unfortunately. Rubezic just stepped on the boy's toe. It's on the edge of the box, and if it's on the line of the edge of the box, it's deemed in the box as a penalty. I have no complaints about the penalty that they get. My gripe on it is, why was it not? Why was VAR not checking the Jack McCain's incident with us? That's the question that we need to ask in VAR, and people in the VAR room will probably hide behind their screens, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a disappointing night because Aberdeen for long spells in that game were really, really impressive. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to get out the group now, John. Do you still have any hope that Aberdeen could get out of this?
No. 2 away games and a home game against Frankfurt. And we've had arguably the 2 weaker teams at home. We couldn't beat Helsinki. I mean, PAOK are a decent team, and they beat Frankfurt in the last game, which I feared would happen, but we had to win that game tonight. We are not going to. I really hope that this is proven wrong. We're 7 points behind PAOK and 5 points behind Frankfurt. Sorry, we're 8 points behind PAOK. Sorry, because we've got 1. I can't do my maths. But yeah. We need to, we're just not going to, we're not going to do it. I mean, they've both got Helsinki to play, and Helsinki are a very weak team. I think the game between us and Helsinki will determine who's bottom, unfortunately.
Yeah, disappointing night for Aberdeen. John, much appreciated you coming on, mate. I know it was disappointing after that game, but thank you very much for coming on. It's much appreciated.
Well, thanks for the invite, guys. Good luck. Take care.
No worries. Cheers, mate. Thank you. So that was John Bleasdale, an Aberdeen fan. Disappointed, obviously, Michael. And it's a 15-minute spell that's costing the game. But again, we keep going back to it. If Aberdeen get the penalty, and John's right, they might not score it, but if they get the penalty and score it, it's 3-1. I think the game's done.
Yeah, no, I mean, 15 minutes, as you say, Graham, and just kind of, see it out, defend for your life, because you're at home as well, in front of your own fans as well. I'm just kind of gutted for John and now Dave that's joined us as well. But, good experience, I suppose, for Aberdeen to get these kind of European footballs as well. But I know that we'll be going on to talk about Celtic later. And, it reminded me, Graham, of what's in the Johnny Hayes mistake tonight is, it's just, basic mistakes that we're making at that level of European football that you can't make. All right, in the Premiership, you can maybe get away with it against Solid Ross, Watson, Ross Kent, and teams like that. But when you're playing against the big boys, you can't do that. Yeah,
we've had one disappointed Aberdeen fan on, John, and I think we've got Dave on as well now. But I don't know if his camera's not working now because he seems to have disappeared. But we'll come back to Dave in a minute. But yeah, it's going to be hard for Aberdeen to get the group now, as John's basically just said there. But do you think there must be positives for Robson to take from that game, though? Because he did play well for most of that game.
I'm actually surprised, and obviously you can ask Dave when it comes on, but I'm actually surprised that most of the Aberdeen fans don't like Barry Robson, because, I mean, I mean, look at him. He's beat Rangers now, home and away. He beat Rangers away a few weeks ago. Okay, it was Michael Beale was under press and all that, but you've got to look after your own back door. And he went to Glasgow and they played well for 90 minutes. So I was a bit surprised. I don't know about you, Glenn, but I was actually a bit surprised. John was saying that about Barry Robson, because I thought he was doing not a bad job out there.
I think he's doing all right. I mean, it's a bit like this kind of Stephen Naismith effect. But I think he's done a better job than Stephen Naismith. But to be honest, I think I'd do a better job. But yeah, it's just, you're gutted for Aberdeen because you want to see the Scottish clubs doing well. And they were just, you kind of said it there, basic mistakes. I mean, the slip from Jensen, the challenge by Rubezic at the end there in the penalty box, I didn't even see it at first. It wasn't until you watch it back and you think, yeah, that's going to be given there. And the referee goes to the monitor, he's going to give it. So it was always going to get given. It's a great penalty, to be fair. The boy sticks it really well. But, I mean, it's just gutted because for 74 minutes, Aberdeen were excellent, competing really well. Looked like they could have maybe won the game. They had a couple of goals, but it's so disappointing to come away from that game and not even get a draw. To get nothing out of that is the most frustrating thing, I think.
I mean,
hopefully we've got...
I think the big ironics in this, Graham, that the penalty got given against Aberdeen, if we didn't have VR, that would get been given. Simple as,
Well, I believe Dave was at the game, and I think he's probably not long back from it. Dave, we've had John on earlier, absolutely gutted about that result, but the performance was really good. What's your take from that tonight? Dave, are you there?
I don't know if it's going on.
I think he's
I can hear him.
I think he's got stung that they get beat.
I can see him and I can hear him, but he can't hear us, I don't think.
Yeah.
Right, we'll try again. Dave, are you there?
Oh,
he's gone off. Right, we'll come back to Dave when he comes back on. But we'll go and talk about Rangers just now because they were in Prague earlier on and it finished Sparta Prague 0, Rangers 0. And I'm going to be honest, it's a good point for Rangers because for long spells in that game, they were outplayed. That first half, Sparta dominated the game. I, like you, normally take notes during a game to talk about big moments. And in that first half, I've got nothing written down for Rangers. I've got a save after 5 minutes, a double save from Jack Butland. And apart from that, I've got nothing for Rangers. They were outplayed for long spells in that game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I only saw the first half, Glenn, but I mean, if it wasn't for Jack Butland, I think we would be on here speaking about 3 points to Sparta Prague tonight because he made some brilliant saves in that first half. I think he made a two-handed save in the first half, and it was one of these saves that he didn't know about it because the ball was coming that quick to him as well. But no, I thought Rangers were pretty poor tonight. You think of the signings that they've made, kind of like Dessers and Lammers and all that, and they've yet to hit the highest point yet. It's all right beating Hibs at the weekend at Ibrox, at home in front of 50,000. But again, European football is like 2 levels up from that. No disrespect to Hibs or Hearts or whoever or Kilmarnock in the league. But yeah, I mean, I thought Rangers were putting up first half tonight. I don't know if it got any better in the second half, but all you could say was it was a decent point away from home.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until the 56th minute that Lundstrom had Rangers' first shot on target. That was about much as they did. But then the last 50 minutes, I actually thought Rangers were better. They had a few more chances. Danilo came on. Lammers had a decent attempt save. Danilo hit the bar later on. They were better for the last 50 minutes of the second half. And I think if you're a Rangers fan and if you're Philippe Clement, you're delighted to walk out with a point because for long spells in that game, especially first half, I was surprised at how poor they were. don't get me wrong, Sparta were very good. I thought they were excellent in that first half. They really dominated. They got in behind a few times. I actually thought John Suter played very well. But you kind of thought during the first half, the goal's coming. So the fact that Rangers got in at half time 0-0 was a major bonus for them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And am I right in saying that Sparta Prague had 2 penalty claims in the first half and it went to VAR? So Rangers got the luck of, the luck of, whatever you want to say there. I was going to say the luck of the Irish, but maybe that's not the right thing to say. But you know what I mean? They got away with 1 or 2 then, but yeah, I mean, all Philip Clement could say was, well, get a point, get out of here now, because I think the next 2 games they've got a home as well.
Yeah. A point here from Azolino. If you're a Rangers fan, are you thinking that you finally have a decent manager, or is it too early to judge? I think it's too early. I think the game against Hibs on Saturday, Hibs made it very easy. They were very, very easy to play against. I think Dave mentioned it on the show on Sunday that we did, where they tried to play it from the back. You can't do that at Ibrox. And I think it will take time. But I think the one thing as well, Michael, I think we've said it before about Michael Beale. He signed a lot of players that don't look quite good enough. Now, Clement's going to have to work with them. Now, again, not for the first time. Dessers, I thought, was very poor. He got taken off in the second half. I just don't think a lot of players that Rangers have are good enough, and Clement's got to work with that.
Yeah, I think I've said this a few times on the show as well, Graham, because it's just a pity that the new manager comes in when the window's shut, because technically it's not his team. It's it is his team, but what I mean is it's not his signings that he's made. He's got to work with the players for another few months until the window gets kind of back open. But I think that's given them a wee bit of a chance to work with the players and try to build a bit of a momentum, because obviously they've got Celtic coming up, albeit it's at the beginning of the new year as well. So yeah, they've got a lot to kind of like build on, but it's places like Dundee, like wee places like Rangers struggled in before that. They've got to pick up points as well, and also they've got a game coming up against Hearts back to back. I think it is in the league and in the League Cup as well. So it's a big chance for him to get to the first final, even though he's only been at the club for about 5 minutes,
Yeah, I mean, I thought first half tonight they couldn't really get Cantwell in the game. They couldn't really get Lammers, and for me, their best player just now is Sima, and they couldn't really get him in the game on the left-hand side. They couldn't get any real passes to him. It was very much a defensive side, and to be fair, they defended well, but you've got to have that threat going forward, and in the first half, they just didn't offer that.
See, that's where I feel as though that Rangers are missing. Well, maybe not in the last year or so, but I'm a realist, because he's a goal threat. He might not be in the game 1 minute, and then he puts the ball in the back of the net. But like Sima, I think he's a decent signing for Rangers as well. He's scored a lot of goals this season so far. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think, and we always say this every week as well when we talk about Rangers. Yeah, they got the win on Saturday. Hibs were very poor, but you've got to give credit anyway to Rangers. But playing in front of 50,000 in front of the new manager, but they're not kind of firing in all cylinders. You wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, that was a brilliant performance by Rangers to get maybe on Saturday," but okay, we just saw the highlights, but they've got to do that week in, week out. They just can't turn it on like a tap.
I think I could have said before you came on, it feels very weird doing this show and it's me that's hosting instead of you when we're both on.
Yeah,
We're feeling me asking you the questions for this. I know. I don't know what's happening with Dave. He keeps logging on and logging back off. I think he might come on at some point. But yeah, I mean, it is, I think, too early to judge on Flo that come on. He's got I want to say a hard game on Sunday against Hearts, but I don't know how hard that's going to be, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, it's a decent point today. They are still in with a chance. Real Betis at the moment are sitting top on 6 points. Sparta Prague and Rangers both on 4, and Limassol are on 3. But I think I didn't manage to hear his conference after the game, but I think from what I heard, what I've seen on Twitter and stuff, Clement was kind of very, he wasn't saying it was a great performance just because you can't, because they weren't very good. But to get a point away from home when you're not playing well, it's got to be a positive.
Yeah, no, exactly. And they've got 2 home games coming up, so they need to build on that, and try and get into the next gigs of Europe. But it's not going to be easy, because you're playing against the big boys in Europe, no matter if it's the Europa Champions League or even the Conference League, as well as Aberdeen kind of found out tonight. But you've got to perform, you've got to obviously win, but obviously you've got to be a bit lucky as well in European football. And I don't know about you, Glenn, but Scottish clubs aren't very lucky when it comes to European football. In fact, I think they do the opposite. I think they make mistakes for themselves.
Yeah, I just lost you there. What was that you were saying there? I just lost you for a second there.
I was just saying about Rangers. This get 2 home games coming up, so they need to build on the points that they've got so far. I think they've got 4 points at the first 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, but what I mean is, like, they've got to now go at home and win the game, put in a decent performance, but kind of regular luck as well sometimes in Europe. But what I was saying was, Scottish teams always do the opposite. At the moment, they seem to put on good performances, but make basic mistakes, and the other teams come back into the game or else beat them, and it's just so frustrating for them. Again, Aberdeen, obviously, we've moved on now, but Aberdeen, there wasn't much between the teams, I thought, tonight as well. And, obviously Rangers, maybe there was a bit of a gulf there tonight, because it was just come on, second game and away from home and all that. But I didn't see that gap that we always talk about. Maybe I'm seeing it through a Scottish football fan's expects, but I didn't feel as though that there was a massive gulf there, Glenn.
No, I don't think there was. I mean, we saw that Aberdeen competed very well tonight. Should have really got something out of the game. They didn't deserve to get beat. I think even a draw would have been a bit harsh because they played very well, but I don't think there was a massive gap there. And I always think as well, when you're a Scottish team, if you're going to pick up points, you've got to do it at home. And that's where Aberdeen will be disappointed they've not picked up something tonight. Rangers tonight, away from home, decent point, but I think when they go back to Ibrox, we're looking to take up 3 points. But we talked about it earlier on. For me, I think you're talking about signings that Rangers have made, and I don't know if this is a valid point or not, but is it a decent enough point to say that Jack Butland might be an upgrade on Alan McGregor?
Well, he's certainly younger than McGregor, but no, I think he's kind of. I wouldn't say that he's better. I would say maybe he's up there at that level, because they say that Butland made to make tonight. You would think if McGregor was in goals, he would have made them as well, because McGregor's a top class goalkeeper. And Butland can be that as well, albeit he's still off a younger than McGregor as well. But Rangers would be lucky to keep a hold of Butland, because he's actually putting off big saves for Rangers at the moment, and you saw that tonight.
Well, let's try third time lucky and see, do we have Dave with us?
Can you hear me okay, guys?
Yeah.
Got you now. So,
Aye.
Dave, we had John Blues still on earlier on. Obviously disappointed you've been at the game. What's your overall thoughts on that tonight?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'm obviously angry with how everything's evolved, guys. But obviously, I've obviously not been too angry before I'm coming on here. This is like a press conference where you're going to grill me with all the questions possible, and I've got to answer them in the most diligent manner. I've got to answer them in the most diligent manner possible. Frustration, annoyed, disappointment. I think criticism towards Barry Robson is justified based on the substitutions. I don't think there's a purpose for Duke to come on. I think Conor Barron was arguably one of Aberdeen's best players tonight. I don't think he deserved to be hooked when he did. I understand freshening up the team and everything, but within reason. I mean, I think you've got to make changes within reason that is going to create that extra impetus in the game to see it the result. Now, people are going to pinpoint VAR and all this kind of stuff, and it's a very good argument to have. And obviously, I know you two guys are big advocates of VAR, and yeah, I've just seen it. I've just seen it back. I've just seen it back through Twitter there. And it's a stonewall. It's an absolute stonewall. I've not seen Pauk's penalty back in terms of the third goal. I've not seen that back, so I can't comment on that one. Personally, I was almost at the game, but I couldn't give you a justified opinion on that. But there was a lot of frustration inside Pittodrie, as you guys know, when Pauk got that penalty, and obviously the guy converted it away. And I've never seen Pittodrie so angry. I'm not going to say the word toxic because there wasn't a toxic vibe about it at all, but I've never seen Pittodrie so angry after a game like that. For me, it had similar vibes to, similar vibes to a guy I spoke to today, Jim Goodwin, when Aberdeen played Rangers last year.
Yeah.
It had similar vibes to that because, yeah, it's one that got away from me, I'm afraid. I think the knife's about for Barry Robson now. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Obviously, because of problems, I couldn't listen to what John was saying, but and I'd love to know what he was saying, but yeah, I think that the knife's about for Barry Robson again, and I think he needs a big few weeks. I think he's under pressure from Aberdeen fans if he doesn't win next Saturday against Hibs.
Dave, before you come on, that was what I was saying to Graham and Dave and John, because when you're watching that game tonight, I suddenly remembered about that game against Rangers as well. Albeit it was a different management team and a different season and all the rest of it as well. But Aberdeen was miles ahead in that game against Rangers, and they made the subs, and Rangers came back, and that was the same tonight against that was the same tonight in the European game as well. So it was the exact same thing that I said to Graham and John about 20 minutes ago, Dave.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of the first half, guys, I don't know if you watched the game, but in terms of the first half, I think Aberdeen walk it getting 0-0 at half time. And I was saying to a few people at the game, I was like, look, we should be happy running 0-0 here, get Barry in, get them motivated for the second half. And so it proved to be 2-0 up within the space 10-15 minutes in the second half, and looking incredibly comfortable. And then I don't know. By the way, the police aren't coming for me before you ask. The police, I've just had the police sign there, but they're not coming for me. I don't think I caused any trouble, but yeah, 2-0 up. And I don't know. I can't understand why Barry Robson's not ready to go and change it, because comfortable, on the front foot, asking questions, and let's be honest, this game could have been outside by half time. 100% it could have. But at exactly the same token, I think the game management all round, both on and off the park, has been incredibly disappointing and incredibly frustrating. And I can understand why there's a lot of Aberdeen fans that are extremely angry after that performance. I think it's a say of Barry Robson as well as a manager. I'm not the biggest criticised manager type of guys. However, at exactly the same time, if I'm going to put the shoe on the other foot here, had that been a Michael Beale side 2-0 up with Rangers and they get beat 3-2, everybody would be going Beale out, Beale out, Beale out, Beale out. I'm not saying exactly the same thing is going to happen with Robson here. However, I've seen a lot of social media content. I've seen a lot of WhatsApp group chats. I had 100 messages by the time I got back in the house from Batodry. So that just tells you everything. And they were all blaming Robson for how it all evolved. So massively disappointed. I could see when Aberdeen were 0-0 half time, and even in the first half when we were completely up against it, I still had a good feeling that we could go and get something out in the game. But I lack of gamesmanship, I lack of penetration, I lack of not being streetwise enough. I think that's the correct word to use. Not being streetwise enough is ultimately cost Aberdeen tonight.
Dave, you mentioned the fans' anger there. Now, I assumed that it was maybe at the referee for giving that penalty at last minute and not giving Aberdeen one. But are Aberdeen fans generally annoyed at Barry Robson? And actually, John mentioned it on the show earlier. He talked about the substitutions. And also, our good friend of the show, Aslino, had mentioned the fact that he thought Robson showed a bit of naivety and inexperience. So is that why the fans are so angry? The fact that it was basically a 2-0 lead and it's let it slip?
Yes, sorry, Gabe. Sorry. No, I agree. I agree with because that was my Michael Beale reference when I was trying to say naivety. I completely forgot what you were saying there. So apologies, Azzolino. But yeah, that was my Michael Beale reference when I said that. I feel that there was a bit of that. Now I'm not going to sit here and start making comparisons between the two of them because that'd be completely remiss and completely winding the mark and completely irrelevant as well, I must say. But at exactly the same time, there's a thing where I'm not young manager. Is that the correct phrase to say? Young managers. There's a thing where young managers sometimes that when they have a period of adversity, when they have a period where they're completely up against it, they quite simply don't know what to do. He's got an experienced assistant beside him, and Steve Agnew. Steve Agnew, a guy that's been about the football block for a long time, Middlesbrough, highly respected within Middlesbrough as well. And yeah, I think that experience and naivety could come back to cost him. I mean, yeah, I'm just hoping this is the beginning of the end now because based on what I've seen in social media, and social media can be like a pantomime sometimes. Sometimes you can look at it the right way, sometimes you look at it and get a laugh and entertainment out of it. But I think this could be the beginning of the end now. I think if Aberdeen don't get the reaction they deserve or crave, sorry, I think this could be the beginning of the end. And as I say, I think we have to beat Hibs Saturday, or else the knives could be out absolutely big time.
Dave, you were saying about inexperience here, about making the subs, but you can also say that about Jim Goodwin as well against Rangers.
Yeah, I totally get your point, but I think the Jim Goodwin, I think the Jim Goodwin thing's two totally different things. I think Rob is naivety and experience, and I agree with what Azzolino saying there. For Jim Goodwin, it's a case of how would I describe it? Actually, it's a very good question. I'd probably describe it as 11 players in the park or a group of defenders who quite simply can't see a game out, and that's I think the Rangers game that Rangers game last year was a totally different dynamic about it because totally control. There wasn't many subs to that. Well, there was subs in that game, but there wasn't anything that was massively influential in the outcome of the game, if you know what I mean.
No,
So,
but I'll tell you what I mean by that, Dave. Like, I know it's Jim Goodwin's old and Barry Robson's young and all that. I kind of get that, but what I mean is, like, he made the subs as well. Jim Goodwin that time, and Barry Robson made the subs tonight. So if you get where I'm coming from, it's kind of similar situations a wee bit.
No, I understand. I understand. I think the Goodwin thing was more confidence rather than anything else because, as you know, Michael, they obviously played Celtic on the Saturday, and obviously you beat 1-0 in that game, and that was a park the bus type of job in King Street. Absolutely mind baffling as to how he was thinking about it like that. Don't get me wrong, he was nearly the Satan at 90th minute mark when he nearly pulled off a point against Ange Postecoglou's side. But yeah, there was that, and then subsequently the confidence was just dampened after that, and there was no coming back from that. I mean, but then I totally get your point, Michael, because you've actually just reminded me in my head there. A lot of people at Aberdeen reference Jarvo and Hibs and Celtic and Rangers and all that. I'd also go a long way than that. I'd go St Mirren on Christmas Eve. I would go Dundee United at Tardis when they can beat 4-0. They've both got similarities, and there's a lot. Now, people are saying Barry Robson wasn't the right appointment for Aberdeen, but at exactly the same time, you cannot appoint a manager that just beats Rangers 2-0. I mean, if you appoint a manager that beats Rangers 2-0, it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell to not appoint him. Because if you don't appoint him, Barry Robson's chucking his toys at the pram and going, well, I've just beaten Michael Beale's Rangers 2-0, who were in a decent position at the time, decent position in terms of they were playing some good football at the time. And Barry Robson was quite.
But David, he went to Ibrox as well and beat them.
Is this Robson, sorry?
Robert, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just goes to show you how we can get an important result of that magnitude. But at exactly the same time, see that game at Ibrox, Michael? You didn't see him. You didn't see him frickling about with substitutions. You didn't see him 70th minute mark saying, right, we need to change the formation, or we need to. The way in which that game was conducted, the way in which that game evolved, suited Aberdeen and suited Barry Robson to an absolute T. Because I was speaking to somebody today about this journalist, and he was saying he was covering that game in question, and he was saying about how toxic Ibrox was, and it suited Aberdeen absolutely. Tonight, it's a case of 2-0 up, and you claim you're not comfortable. Now, I've not read what Barry Robson said yet. I'm presuming he's spoken to the press by now, and I'm presuming comments are out somewhere. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to overshadow a disappointing evening by saying VAR. It will not surprise me by any stretch of imagination here.
Yeah, and we have talked about it earlier on. We have got about 8 minutes left, and I don't want to leave the show without talking about Celtic yesterday, who took on Atletico Madrid at Celtic Park, and they drew 2-2. Kyogo scored opener for Celtic after 4 minutes. Griezmann equalised, missed a penalty but scored the rebound after 25. Palma then made it 2-1 to Celtic in 28 minutes, but Morata equalised in the 53rd minute. Michael, now it's a good point for Celtic, but I'm going to be honest, I've watched a lot of football this season from a lot of different leagues. That, for me, is one of the best games I've watched this season. It was brilliant football to watch.
Yeah, and from a Celtic point of view, I can say that because I'm not hosting tonight, Graham, thanks for that. I thought that was the best performance Celtic had, well, since obviously the Hearts game at the weekend, but also the Rangers game at Ibrox. But I mean, it's just basic mistakes again, Graham, because obviously, half time came at a bad time for Celtic. Celtic were on top that first half, and the half time whistle went that McGregor must have got a rocket up the backside because they came out and you could actually smell that there was a goal coming, and it did come. Brilliant goal from their point of view as well. But it's just see if Celtic and Rangers and albeit Aberdeen can cut out these kind of like mistakes. I think we can actually win games and qualify for the next stage of Europe. Maybe not qualify, but maybe won some games as well. But yeah, excellent performance. And if you gave me a chance to get a point before that last night's game, I would take it.
Dave, that's a very good Athletic Madrid side. And that first half, the word that would use, I thought Celtic and Madrid rattled in that first half. They were brilliant.
Yeah, I thought they were excellent in the first half last night, Graham. I mean, very, very good going forward, very astute in the middle of the park. I thought Liam Scales had a brilliant game last night. I'm going to praise him just because of my Aberdeen connections, of course. Yeah, I was actually speaking to Jim Goodwin about him today, actually. Yeah, I've been speaking to a few Celtic fans. He's been saying Liam Scales has been really good. Last three or four games for him. So that's obviously pleasing to see from that perspective. But I think last night was a big result for Brendan Rodgers in certain ways, because I don't know if you agree, but I think he needed a result of that magnitude. I mean, he obviously got a good draw against Manchester City the first time around, but he never quite capitalised on that, if you know what I mean. And I think he needed a result of that kind last night, because as you guys know, Celtic's European or Champions League record is absolutely atrocious just now, and it needs rectified. And results such as last night, as much as it's not a win, it goes a long way to eradicating the poor form that they've had in Europe. So I think it was a healthy point. Obviously, they'd have liked to have gotten all 3 points to try and get a chance of European football beyond Christmas, but I think it was a healthy point considering where Celtic are at and how they were described as being levels behind in a European front and especially a Champions League front. So improvement, but further improvement to come.
Yeah.
Michael, there was a moment obviously in the first half, disappointment that Hatate had to come off injured, but Bernardo played very well. But for me, and I don't know if you would agree with this as a Celtic fan or not, but we talk about Callum McGregor a lot on the show, we talk about Hatate a lot on the show. I was thinking about this last night. I think for me, Celtic's most influential player just now isn't Kyogo, it's Matt O'Reilly. You look at that first goal, great play from Kyogo, really good 1-2 with O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's game has been upped massively recently. He's turned into a very, very good footballer.
Yeah, no, it's basically when they came in the first season, Graham, it was brilliant, and then they took a wee dip, as you would imagine. Like, every player has dips in their career, and I thought it was actually quite poor last season under Postecoglou, but he scored a few goals now, and I don't like to say this, Graham, but okay, I'll say it anyway. The goal that he scored on Sunday against Hearts, and yeah, I mean, goals change this attitude, confidence as well. But I like when O'Reilly does interviews, because as if it's not a big thing. It's just, yeah, I scored a goal, and what that But yeah, I've always been a kind of Matt O'Reilly fan. Scanting to like Palmer as well. Of course, he scored a goal last night as well. So yeah, it's as Dave says, we just can't stand still. We just keep moving forward and all that, and try and get better in the next game and so on and so forth.
Question for you, Michael, from Arzolino. Michael, would you agree that Callum McGregor has lost that fine form he was in?
No, because I thought he played well last night. I kind of get where you're coming from, because I think he plays about 550 games this season, and I think when Steve Clarke picks him in the Scotland squad, I bet you it's like that. Oh no, again, I want a rest, man. But I mean, as I said about O'Reilly, he always takes dips, and Callum McGregor. But yeah, I mean, McGregor, both hot and cold this season, but I thought he played well last night. But I could see where you're coming from at that point. Yeah.
Well, we're just about finished. We've just about the hour up, but just before we go, I just want to ask Dave, do you think, and actually I'll come at you as well, Michael, in a minute, but Dave, do you think that game last night shows that Celtic can compete at this level?
Absolutely. I mean, as had a good job of Atletico Madrid is a good draw indeed, and Diego Simeone was a bit arrogant post-match last night that I think deserves to be touched upon, because quite simply I think Celtic and Brendan Rodgers deserved a bit more respect than that, and overall I think the whole treatment from Atletico Madrid was quite simply very, very poor. I don't know if it was back in the day kind of thing or what, but yeah, extremely disappointed. But what I will say is, I read the Rangers. I know you've obviously probably touched on the Rangers game tonight, but I'll just give you my pen and forth very quickly. And I know we've not got a lot of time left, but yeah, I was reading comments actually that Philippe Clement says he wants more from his Rangers players, and I probably agree with that, because let's be honest, if Philippe Clement settles with what he's got, he's not going to do much with his Rangers side. He needs more, and I think it's a very good point that Philippe Clement has raised there. So, yeah, disappointing for Rangers, disappointing for Aberdeen, but for Celtic, I think they can be the positive that we've been looking for a long time now.
Michael, I assume that you would think that Celtic can compete at this level as well?
Yeah, I think the only thing that let Celtic down tonight, last night, was a Greenberg egg. Obviously, we've not got a lot of time to talk about that. But yeah, I didn't like that, what I saw. Leave politics out of football, please. But yeah, a good performance last night from Celtic, and keep it going until the next game. But yeah, got to be up against it, trying to qualify now for the next round of the Champions League. But yeah, the performance levels has been okay so far, but not the outcome that we've all hoping for. But you know, that's Scottish football for you.
Very, very true. Well, that is our time up. Thank you very much, as always, to Michael and Dave for joining me tonight, and for John Bleathel that came on earlier. Michael is back tomorrow. I think with Dave, we are on at 5 o'clock. I won't be here, unfortunately. What a shame. We are also back on Sunday from 3 till 5 for our Sunday show. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoy the show tomorrow. We are back from 5 o'clock tomorrow with the main man, Michael, and we shall see you again soon. Bye-bye.